Yo, what's up, guys? We are going to go through some plays on PrizePicks on Underdog Fantasy. So we got some good-looking ones from yesterday. We also hit this on a couple in a row, actually, on Underdog. But without further ado, let's kind of get into some picks. Also, PrizePicks has a couple promos. Again, like I say this in other videos, but these promos is the easiest money you're going to make. You know, they're discounting Damian Lillard's line to 18.5 points. So they got a promo on Dame. And if you look at Lillard, right, you can see all the other books have his line at like 26.5, 27.5 even, just kind of looking at the sportsbook screen. So obviously really good value on this play on Lillard. You could even middle bet this. If you wanted to, you could bet him over 18.5 on PrizePicks. And then you could take him under 27.5 on FanDuel. If he has 19 to 27 points, you know, we'll win both plays. But I already gave out a pick for Lillard. So let's kind of go through, where do we want to start? Let's go through Underdog Fantasy to start. And again, they also have this promo where they're giving you a boosted payout. PrizePicks usually gives you a 10x payout for 5-pick entries. So if you look at, you know, a little 5-pick entry like this or something like this, you'll see they usually give you a 10x payout if you go 5 for 5 in a flex play. But with this promo, they're boosting it to 15x in an all NBA slip. So maybe we'll look for a play there. But yeah, let's start out on Underdog Fantasy. Again, I recommend if you're new to sports betting, it's not always intuitive. Why should you have multiple sports books? But the main reason is all these books have different lines from one another. They all have different odds from one another. So sometimes there's really good plays available on PrizePicks. Other times there's more value on Underdog Fantasy. So if you look at this play on Anthony Davis, where's his points plus assist line? You can see PrizePicks has his line at 26 points and assists. Okay. But if we check out right here, if we check out, where is it? Anthony Davis's line on Underdog, it's 24.5, 26 here, 24.5 here on Underdog Fantasy. So clearly we have a big discrepancy in the market. So again, all OddsJam is doing, this fantasy optimizer, which is really useful for these fixed payout platforms like Underdog, is it's just pointing out value. So if we look at like AD, right, all these other books have them 26.5, 25.5, you know, whatever. It's like Underdog Fantasy is too low relative to all these other books, 26.5 here, 25.5. So there's value on the over, right? We want to see discrepancies. You know, we want to see value in the market. We don't want to be betting when all the books have the exact same line. There's no value in the market if that's the case. Damn. So a lot of lines start to move around as we get closer to game time. So here's another play that looks good. I'm actually already on this on PrizePicks, but whatever. We can lock in another play as well. Is Chris Boswell over 5.5 kicking points? So there's really like two main ways. Wow, there are a lot of plays right now. So where do we want to start? So we have AD over 24.5. The next play we can go with is Dalton Kincaid under 4.5 receptions. You can see all these other books have his line at 3.5. So that play seems decent as well. There's also some CS2 plays. So again, like when you're betting on esports, you don't have as many data points, which kind of sucks because obviously more data means you're going to make better bets. But if you look at ABR right here, it's like Underdog has his line at 31.5, PrizePicks 33, JockMKT 33.5. So it's like, okay, there's some value on the over. So this can be the first play we go with. Seems like a kind of random slip. We got CS2, esports, an early NFL play for Sunday, and then we have AD over 24.5 points plus assists. So let's see if they take it. The play on AD is definitely the best. I mean, I've already hit my limit on AD. That's annoying. Where did I even bet Anthony Davis? What are you talking about? I've hit my limit on Anthony Davis. Damn. So I already have him in this play, which I guess ended up losing. So they're not even going to let me bet this play on AD, which seemed like it was the best play. But regardless, hopefully you can still include it. So I'm not going to be able to include this play on AD. And did they just move this line on ABR? So again, all these books have different lines from one another. We want to have as many books as possible for that reason. So next we can look at Dalton Kincaid. So whatever, it sucks when lines move on you, but that's just kind of how it is. So if we go to NFL player receptions, again, like all these books, FanDuel, DraftKings, right? These are multi-billion-dollar companies who have put a lot of money into their ability to set lines. And you can see all these books in general, they either have his line at 4.5 with the under heavily favored, or a lot of these books, Jock Market has his line at 4. Some sports books are at 3.5. So you can see all the books that have Dalton Kincaid's line at 4.5, they have the under as a pretty big favorite. So we want to take his under, right? The way that underdog works is pretty simple. I have my little spreadsheet that kind of takes you through the math, but the way that underdog works is, right, you take a guy's over or under, doesn't matter. You always get the same payout, right? So this play on Kincaid, we're just following the data. All the books have him heavily favored, a lot more likely to go under 4.5 receptions if they have his line at 4.5. And some of these books have slightly different odds from state to state, Ohio, Virginia, Arizona, whatever. So that seems like a pretty good play. So we can go with that. And then the next play we have, where was it? That play on Chris Boswell. So if we go back here, we can take a look at this. Chris Boswell, not a very high profit margin, but still, you know, we want to go with 3-pick entries on underdog in general. All the books have him heavily favored to go over. So why would we take his under, right? Like, it's pretty simple. If all the books have him favored to go over, that's the pick we want to be on underdog. Underdog's giving you the same payout, you know, 3x for 2-pick entries. They're always giving you the same payout. So just follow the data. There's a bunch of billion-dollar companies who have really good models, and they're all telling you the same thing. He's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. And it looks like lines have been moving towards his over. So this is Pinnacle, which is known to be one of the sharpest or smartest sports books. And you can see they have his over 5.5 really heavily favored. So it's like, okay, that seems like a good play to go with. So we can refresh this and kind of see what else is out there. So again, I'm not going to be able to play this pick on Anthony Davis, but if you can, seems like a great play to go with. So they ripped that first CS2 play away from us. But if we check out this play, again, when you're betting on esports, you don't have as many data points, which sucks. But still, what's great about esports is there's a lot of games. So you can see here, if you go to like esports, I mean, there's so many games every single day. And that means there's a lot of surface area for books to cover. You know, they got a lot of ground to cover because there's so many esports games every single day. So we could go with that player. What we could do is we could take Deco over 28.5. All these other books, you know, have his line at 30, 30.5. So let's replace this pick with this pick on Deco. Right? So we want to take him over 28.5. All the other books, you know, again, PrizePicks, they're pretty good at their job setting lines. All these books, they all set lines independently. That's what's crazy about sports betting. It's how fragmented the market is. All these books want to be unique, so they set their own lines. So essentially, even if you only use Underdog Fantasy, you know, you may be like, so this will be the first pick we go with. You may be like, oh, I don't use Jock Market. I don't use PrizePicks. I don't use ParlayPlay. They're still, you know, you want to put weight into where they're setting their lines. Like, obviously, it would make no sense to take Deco under 28.5 when all the other books have his line at 30. You know you're getting ripped off because you could go over to ParlayPlay, this sports book, and you could bet him under 30.5. So obviously getting under 28.5, you'd be getting ripped off. And you're not going to make money sports betting if you're just getting ripped off. You know, it's kind of like if you were a day trader and you had to buy Facebook at $400. Like, you're not going to stand a chance at making money because you're getting ripped off versus the rest of the market. So anyways, this game's about to start. But what we can do is there were some other picks. So if you look at this play on Chris Godwin, here's another play. Again, I only have a max bet size of $100 for NFL. For these NBA plays like the one we hit yesterday, they gave me a little more. If you take a look here, they gave me $500 on an all NBA slip. But the second I include NFL, for whatever reason, maybe I've just beat them too bad on NFL plays, they reduced my max bet size to just $100, which is stupid. But anyways, So the next play we wanted to go with was another pick in this game. It's the same CSGO game. This game's about to start. So I'm going to try to move quickly here. We already have Kincaid under. Some of these plays I'm already on. I can't play the play on Anthony Davis. And then we have Allison over 27. So this will be the second pick we go with, right? So it's pretty simple. If you look at Godwin's line, so if we go to player receptions really quickly, so we want to go here to player receptions. It's not what I'm trying to do. We can take a look at Godwin's line, right? You can see ParlayPlay, another fantasy site. They have his line lower at 5. All the books have his line at 5.5, but they have the under very heavily favored, right? Minus 150, minus 140s, you know. So again, like there's no need. These books, you know, they're taking bets, moving around lines based on where action's coming in. It's a market, and they all have his under heavily favored. Like you're not going to create a model that can outsmart every single sports book, right? This is their full-time job, setting lines, and they're all completely aligned. There's no discrepancy. They're all saying the same thing. His line should be at 5.5, but the under should be heavily favored. So that seems like a good play to go with. So we can lock in this little 3-pick entry right here. So then we have our second play on Underdog Fantasy, and we've kind of cleared out a lot of the value. So usually what I do is I just kind of hop around from tool to tool. So like this play, well, you can see Caesars just ripped it down. I mean, some of these lines move quickly. They ripped it from plus 110 to plus 100. But sometimes I check out the arbitrage tool. So arbitrage betting, it's not a glamorous strategy necessarily, but it is a way to make pretty easy profits. So arbitrage, for example, let's say you use Fliff and you use Caesars. And we got some good bets on Fliff for today already. But you can see Fliff has Embiid's over at minus 110. Caesars is all the way at minus 157. So again, all these books have different odds, you know? And sometimes these books get so out of sync. Their lines are so different from one another that you can bet the over on one book, in this case, Fliff, right? The over 4.5 for Embiid at minus 110 odds. You can bet the under on a different book, Caesars, and make a risk-free profit, right? So arbitrage is when books get so out of sync that you can bet the over on one book, the under on another book, and make a risk-free profit. So if you use Fliff and Caesars, Fliff has a max bet size of 250. So you could turn this into a risk-free 425, which again isn't glamorous, but it's free money and it takes just a few seconds to do. You just go over to player assist, you find Embiid, and then you kind of lock it in. Of course, you may have a different max bet size, so you can put whatever you want into the calculator, but Fliff has a max bet size of $250. So most of the arbitrage bets I'm hitting on Fliff are for $250. And then you just follow this calculator and, you know, you make a risk-free profit. So it's pretty simple. That's actually how I started sports betting, with arbitrage. So his over 4.5 assists is at minus 110 on Fliff, right? And then his under is plus 114 odds on Caesars. So he's obviously going to go over 4.5 or he's going to go under. These are equal and opposite outcomes. You're literally day trading the books. It's like buying a stock at $110 and then flipping it, immediately selling it at 114. So Fliff has a max bet size of 225. So you can just kind of follow the arbitrage calculator and see how much profit you'll make. So 250, 223.02. So we'll round down to, let's say, $223. And then we can see how our profit works out. So we have Caesars and then we have Fliff. So if he goes over, we make 250 times 100 over 110, 227 on Fliff. We lose 223 on Caesars. We make $4 in profit. If he goes under, we lose 250 on Fliff. On Caesars, we're up 223 times 1.14. We bet 223 at plus 114 odds, just following the arbitrage calculator. So we make a risk-free $4. Not glamorous, but free money. And sometimes there's better arbitrage bets than others. Just kind of depends what sports books you use. Damn, we got some bets showing up for the NFL on Sunday as well. So this play seems very good on PrizePicks. If we take a look here, Nurkic under 9.5 rebounds. So what's going on? I mean, you can see lines are just ripping towards his under. Like kind of across sports books, they've all ripped his line down to like, minus 160-ish. PrizePicks still has his line at 9.5. FanDuel's all the way down at minus 144. So we can refresh this again, kind of take a look at what's going on. So all the books have been favored to go under. So let's go to PrizePicks. And again, they're giving us this promo where we can get a, so if we go back here, we want to go to rebounds and we want to take Nurkic's under, right? So again, PrizePicks, it's just like Underdog. You're always getting the same payout. Fixed payouts, you take an over, you take an under, you get the same payout. So the reason the under is the sharp pick is, again, all the books have them heavily favored to go under. So I've been through the math behind PrizePicks, but with this promo, again, they have this promo going on right now where 5-pick NBA entries are boosted to a 15x payout. So instead of 10x, we're going to get 15x, but it has to be all NBA picks. But in general, so what you'll see is for this promo, if you just go through the math behind PrizePicks, which I ended up doing, is all you have to do is the break-even win rate is 51.35% with the promo. 51.35%. So usually PrizePicks has a break-even win rate. So if we go back here, usually it's 54.25. So what this means is pretty simple. Is like on PrizePicks, if you want to be profitable playing on PrizePicks, you have to win your over-unders above 54.25% of the time to be profitable, which we can do it. Like, it's not that hard. Like this play on Nurkic, he's heavily favored to go under. So this is a pick, popping up on the OddsJam positive EV tool that's winning above 54.25% of the time. But again, like it's also not easy to do, right? You have to win like 56% of your over-unders, just like Nurkic over under 9.5. You got to be able to win these plays 56, 57% of the time, only losing 44, 43% of your picks. So like the way PrizePicks makes money is most people don't have an edge. And if you don't have an edge, you're going to get these over-unders correctly 50% of the time. If you don't have an advantage, you picking over versus under, it's like a coin flip. You're going to be 50% to be right, correct? 50% to be wrong. Whereas, again, on PrizePicks, to be profitable, you got to win over 54.25% of your player props. But with this promo, it goes down a bit because they're giving us a higher payout to like 51%. But regardless, we still need some other picks to pair. So you can see there's some NFL plays. So one play, that you may like, you may not like. I'm already on Maxi's over on Fliff, but I'm on him over 4.5, right? I'm on his over 4.5 assists. So a lot of people it's called a middle bet. We could middle this with PrizePicks and take him under 5.5 assists. So if we go here, right? For our second pick, we could take Maxi's under 5.5 assists. So again, it may seem like it's not a big difference, 5.5 versus 4.5 assists, but it's actually a really big difference in terms of the odds. Like if you look at Maxi, he goes from minus 200, right? We got his over 4.5 at minus 130 on Fliff. Really good value, right? All the other books have his over 4.5 if they have these alternate lines. You can see FanDuel. What's nice about FanDuel is they have alternate lines. So you can bet on Maxi's over 2.5, 3.5, whatever. But you can see his line at 4.5 is minus 200. We got it at minus 130, so really good value. But there's a big jump. It's an 100-cent jump to over 5.5. So there's a big difference, right, between 4.5 and 5.5 assists, a big jump in the odds. Each assist is very impactful, right? It's very different than a point. Like Maxi, most games has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 assists. So 4.5 versus 5.5 is a big difference. So we could take him under 5.5 assists. If he has exactly 5 assists, we'll win both bets. We'll win our over 4.5 and our Fliff parlay. We'll also win our under 5.5 on PrizePicks. And again, it all just depends on the price you're getting. Like we got the over 4.5 at minus 130, which looks great relative to all the other data points, all the other books like FanDuel. If I was betting his over 3.5, right, all the books have him like minus 470, and we could get minus 300 on Fliff, like that would be a good play. But everything, you need to be thinking about price, right? What odds are you getting? The same way an investor thinks about, hey, what's this company valued at? What stock price am I getting? Or a trader, like betting on shit without thinking about what odds you're getting is stupid. You got to think about what price you're getting, what odds you're getting. But anyways, we can go back to PrizePicks, kind of take a look. So again, I just kind of bounce around between tools. Sometimes there's good bets on Underdog. Sometimes there's good promos on PrizePicks like there is right now. So the more books you use, the better. More books, more profitable bets, more promos. Like you can see, here's a really good arbitrage bet that just showed up between DraftKings and FanDuel. So depending on what your max bet size is, minus 240, 270. So whenever the plus numbers, like you can see there's a huge discrepancy. FanDuel has this at minus 420, DraftKings minus 240. So this is such a big discrepancy that you can bet the over on FanDuel, the over on DraftKings, the under on FanDuel, and make a risk-free profit. You're day trading the sports books to make risk-free money. So all you got to do is be able to navigate these books quickly. Maybe you're like, oh, I got $500 on DraftKings. It tells you to hedge 191.44. Usually I recommend round your numbers. So maybe bet something like, 200 on FanDuel, 525 on DraftKings on the over. So over 6.5 at minus 240 for 525. Hit the under for $200 on FanDuel. You make $17.65 in risk-free profit. But you got to know how to navigate these sports books, because a lot of people will be like, oh, that's not where I see, right? That's not where I see Malik Beasley's, points line. I don't see his line at 6.5, because if you go to FanDuel and you look at, player points, you'll be like, oh, his line's at 9.5. That doesn't make sense. But you have to remember they have alternate points, right? And that's what you want to be looking at when you're arbitrage betting. And these things move pretty quickly. There are inefficiencies in the market that you're taking advantage of. So you got to move quickly to get down the best arbitrage plays. But anyways, we have two good plays on PrizePicks to kind of start out this promo. It's NBA only, so all this football stuff isn't that useful. So what I can do is I can just filter for NBA, right? And again, like this is a promo. So plays that in general wouldn't be good are now going to be good, right? So we could take Lillard's under 27. Obviously, I already bet Lillard's over for this promo. I took him over 18.5 points. And you can see they just bumped him down to 26 anyway, so I missed that play. Under 27 points for Lillard. So let me refresh this quickly. So what else do we like? Brooke Lopez under 19.5 points plus rebounds. It looks like most of the other books have his line at 18.5. So again, like I obviously follow a very data-driven approach, and you can see they just bumped Maxey down to 5. So a lot of the value is evaporating on PrizePicks in front of our eyes. Not a ton of value. Again, for this promo, anything above like 51.3% is going to be profitable because they're giving you the boosted payout. So you can basically bet whatever you want. D'Angelo Russell under 20.5 points plus assists. All the other books have his line at 19.5. So that seems like a decent play with value. So there's a lot of options because they're giving you the boosted payout, but still nothing like incredible. So what we can do is we can kind of go back here, go to the positive EV tool, see if anything strikes our eye. If not, we can lock in a different PrizePicks play, and then I can just look for, whoa. So here you can see a crazy play just popped up in college football. So again, more bucks, more profitable bets. If you look at this player, Donovan Smith, what are they doing? And we look at his passing yards line. All the other books have his line at 277.5. They're 40 yards lower, 240.5. Underdog 277.5. Fucking insane, right? So this would be a great play to middle bet, right? You could hit him under 277.5 on Underdog, over 240.5 on ParlayPlay. I mean, that's crazy. You're like creating your own promo where creating our own Taco Tuesday. So Odds Jam, again, this fantasy optimizer, just scanning the market, pointing out value. But anyways, the next play that looks really good is, Lions game. Obviously, they got smoked last week, but is Jared Goff under 285.5 passing yards? So if we take a look at Goff's line, all the other books, right, they have his line around 272. Again, you got all these data points. They all have his line at 270, 272.5, whatever. They have his line all the way down at 244.5 on hot streak. So that would be another good middle bet. Over 244.5, under 285.5. So that seems like a good play to go with. So there's a lot of value right now. So next we have Crims under 31.5. Hot Streak has his line at 25.5. All these other books significantly lower. So what we can do is we can kind of get rid of some of these combo props for a second, and we can try to zone in on some good plays. So we have Crims under 31.5. So it looks like the most random slip of all time, but obviously this first play is incredible. And we're just kind of trying to find plays with some good value. DJ Giddens, over 60.5 rushing yards. Other books have his line at 67.5. So it's like, okay, this seems like a good play to go with. Although Houston is playing Kansas State. So it seems like they're dropping college football lines for Saturday, and there's a fair amount of discrepancies. We have Lillard, Embiid rebounds plus assists. So we can take a look at this. NBA rebounds plus assists, and we can take a look. Nope, not WNBA. So we want rebounds plus assists. We can take a look here. Right, like ParlayPlay has a line at 15. 14.5 on other fantasy sites like PrizePicks, Underdog, JockMKT. All the sports books have Embiid's line at 14.5 with the under favored, right? So that's a good play to go with. So under 15 rebounds plus assists. There's the next play we can go with. And what else do we like? So it's the same strategy, for all these books. So this play I actually think I already locked in, but, like on this ParlayPlay platform, if we look at this player right here, Tristan Jerry, they'll give you the same damn payout if you take his over or his under, right? You take this guy to go over or under, you're still getting the same payout. It's 20x for a 5-pick entry, so the only really rational data-driven thing to do is compare the lines on ParlayPlay to sports books. They all have his line at the same level, but they have the over heavily favored. So all these books are saying, he's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. So that's a sharp pick to go with. That's a great play to go with. Jerry, over. And then also we have Anders Lee under 2.5 shots on goal. So now we have, 6 good picks that we can go with. The optimal slip type on ParlayPlay is a 6-pick entry. So I can just go ahead and I can lock this in. And, we got a nice little 6-pick parlay to start the day. So sometimes there's a ton of good bets on Underdog. I mean, again, yesterday on the live stream, we're hitting a lot of bets on Underdog, and we cashed some fucking huge ones, 500 to 3,000. So it really depends on the day, whereas Underdog Fantasy seems a little more dialed in today. So the more books you have, the better, because right now there's a lot of value on ParlayPlay, right? That college football play was incredible. But you can see, like, I use all these books on all these platforms. I'm up money, and it just kind of depends, like, how much value is there on Underdog today versus PrizePicks versus ParlayPlay. Which books have the good promos? You can see they bumped all the shit we were going to bet on PrizePicks, but like sometimes PrizePicks has good promos. Sometimes it's ParlayPlay. So I use them all these platforms, I'm profitable on, just some more than others, or some have more value than others, stuff like that. Damn. So there's a lot of PrizePicks plays popping up, but not much NBA value. They're dialed in, for the NBA. So if we go back to ParlayPlay, what we can do is we can try to find one more slip on ParlayPlay, and then we can head over to PrizePicks, bouncing around between the different platforms. Again, arbitrage is a great strategy. It's just depending on the day. Like yesterday, there was a lot more NBA. There were more arbitrage bets. It just kind of depends on the day. Some days, more value than others. So we have Embiid's under. Any other picks we want to go with? PJ Tucker under 4.5 points. So we can build maybe one more slip. It really is a volume game. Like the more bets you can place on a daily basis, the better. So if we look up PJ Tucker, we want him under 4.5 points. So kind of random bet, but hey, I don't really fucking care what I'm betting on. If there's value, there's value. If the play has an edge, the play has an edge. It was the same thing. I used to be a trader. When I was a trader, sometimes there's more value with a certain client or more trades, sometimes in a certain sector, healthcare versus whatever. Sometimes there's a lot of good trades in a day. Other times the market's slow, not much is happening. So I'll never force a bet. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunity in the market. Other times there's not. So PJ Tucker, his unders heavily favored. Caesars has him all the way at minus 160, right? This freaking ParlayPlay platform, they give you the same payout. If you take him over or under, all the books have his under heavily favored. That's the sharp pick, we want to be on, we want to go with. So, but again, what sucks about this platform is the markets just aren't that liquid. Like I can only get down $60 per player prop. So this play on Donovan Smith was fucking incredible. They're literally 40 yards below the rest of the market. All the other books have his line, passing yards line around like 277.5. So it's a really good play, but I can only get, 60 bucks down on it, which is what sucks. But anyways, there's more good plays, so nothing to complain about. That's just kind of the con of sports betting is it does take time. This isn't passive income. You can make a lot of money doing it, but yeah, it's just a time thing. So you look at Drew Eubanks, all the other fantasy sites, Jock Market, Underdog, they have his line higher, right? So the fantasy optimizer, you want to see discrepancies. Most plays aren't discrepancies. Out of the thousands of lines on Underdog, most of these plays suck. They're horrible. You don't have enough value to beat the VIG and beat the juice. So OddsJam is just like scanning the market and trying to help you zone in on the plays that actually have an edge. So Giannis under 17.5 rebounds plus assists. So do we already have a play in the Bucks game? We do. But we can go ahead and we can lock this in. So a lot of basketball. Basketball is one of the best sports to bet on. Jalen Hurts. Oh, my God. Hurts and Kamara under. So a lot of people, want to wait until Sunday to place their NFL bets, which makes sense intuitively. You may think like, oh, why would I place a bet on Sunday if it's only Thursday? But you'll notice a lot of the value goes away. Like you'll see some of the best bets occur when sportsbooks first release odds for an upcoming, week. So you can see right now there's clear value on Hurts's under on ParlayPlay, right? It's crazy if you think about it. Every book tries to set lines independently. It's like if there were hundreds of different prices for a stock, it doesn't make any sense. It's like seeing a stock at 253.50, 253.50 on E-Trade, and then 246.50 on Fidelity. It would be easy to be a day trader if, all these platforms had different prices for the same stock, but that's not how it works. The stock market's too efficient. But you can see here, all these books set lines independently. You kind of hunt through the market. You just think like a data-driven investor. All these books have Jalen Hurts' line around like 246, 247. Getting the under 253.5 seems like a no-brainer, right? A steal deal, however you want to think about it. Damn. And there's more bets. So it's not surprising. There was value on Drew Eubanks over 13 PRAs. A lot of times when a sportsbook's screwing up a player's line, what's nice about ParlayPlay is we can bet them both. So We already bet him over in PRAs, but what we can do is we can kind of be like, okay, now let's check out his rebounds plus assist line, right? And we want to look up Eubanks. It's like all the books have his line at 7.5, right? That seems like a good play to go with if you want to double down on Eubanks. So we could do that. But maybe what we'll do is we'll just lock in one more slip, and then let's move back to PrizePicks. So you can see it's recommending Pacheco under in rushing yards. So let's check out Pacheco. What's the deal with Pacheco? All these books have his line, about 4 or 5 yards lower. We're getting under 68.5. That seems like a good play to go with. So just finding plays with an edge over and over and over again. So we want Melton over in points and then Allen over in PRAs. So we want Allen PRAs and then we want Melton over 9.5 points. So these slips always, they look so random, such a random assortment of crap, but if that's where the value is, that's where we're going to be going with. So here we have an NFL play for tonight. Taron Johnson under 4.5 tackles plus assists. All the books have his under heavily favored. That seems like a good play to go with. So we want to take this, and that's our 4th pick. Eric Gordon under 17 points plus rebounds. Ward over 80.5 rushing yards. Gordon points plus rebounds. How does this pair? The only thing is when you're betting things in the same game, like here we have a play. So this pairs pretty well, right? Eric Gordon, Melton over, Eric Gordon under. Like those plays pair well together. It doesn't make sense, obviously, to take a bunch of players from the same team all to go over in points. So let's finish out this slip, though, quickly. So Mike Evans under 5 receptions. Sure. Or we can just dabble down a little lower into Tyreek Hill under 95.5 receiving yards, which is a crazy high receiving yards line. Obviously, he's had an incredible season. But regardless, I follow a very data-driven approach. I just let the numbers work itself out long-term. But what was I going to say is if you look at FanDuel, just as an example, my eye hurts like a bitch. But if we go here to same game parlay and we look at player points, is you'll notice, right? Like if we take Dame's over, you'll see PrizePicks has the same lines on the same odds on Giannis's over versus under, right? This is FanDuel. So FanDuel prices in correlation, and I lost it. But if we go back here, so if we look at player points, you'll see, right? Giannis's line is 27.5. They're giving us the same odds on the over and the under. Both are at minus 110 odds. They're giving you the same price on the over as the under. But if you take his over, FanDuel will give you plus 254 odds. Whereas if you take his under, they're only giving you plus 219 odds, right? And that's because taking teammates with high stat lines, both to go over, doesn't make sense. Like if Dame goes over 26.5 and Giannis goes over 27.5, who's not fucking scoring in the Bucks game? So if Dame has a great game and goes over in points, it's more likely that Giannis goes under. So if you're taking stars on the same team, you want to take Dame over, Giannis under. And FanDuel's telling you that, again, they're telling you that through their odds. They have the same odds on Giannis's over as his under. But if you take both of the players over, you're getting a better payout. They're giving you a worse payout if you take over under because those outcomes are positively correlated. If Damian Lillard goes over, Giannis is more likely to go under. So they're giving you a worse payout because the plays are positively correlated, whereas these are negatively correlated. So anyways, we locked in a ton of plays on ParlayPlay, kind of cleared out the board. So we can go back to PrizePicks, go back to the arbitrage tool. Sometimes there's good arbitrage bets. Here you can see one, right? It's very simple. You just kind of pull up these sports books. So this is in Brooke Lopez, points plus assists. So we want to go to combos. And then you just want to know how to navigate these books quickly. So if you go over to Brooke Lopez, over 14.5 is plus 112, right? FanDuel has this line at minus 120, and they have the under at minus 106. So here's another spot where these books are so out of sync. You can bet the over on Caesars, the over 14.5, right here, right? You can bet the under on FanDuel at minus 106 and make a risk-free profit. So depending on how big your bankroll is, right? Maybe $300 or whoever knows, right? It depends how much money you have in these sports books, but this is free money. So this would be nice. Bet the over for $275 on Caesars. Bet the under on FanDuel for $300. You make a risk-free profit of $8. Again, it's free money. You're day trading the sports books because they all have different odds from one another to make risk-free profits. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to make $1 million overnight. You're just day trading the books to make risk-free $10 here, risk-free $20, $30 here. You know, it's really good for live arbitrage betting. It's hard to do because the lines move so quickly. But, you know, and just kind of understanding the math behind arbitrage, we have some tutorial videos on it. Or sorry, this is over 14.5. Is with arbitrage betting, you're always betting equal and opposite outcomes on two sports books, you know, to make a risk-free profit. So in this case, it was 275, 300. And this is between Caesars and FanDuel. So we have Caesars, FanDuel. If he goes over, we make 275 times 1.12. We bet 275 at plus 112 odds on Caesars, 275 at plus 112 odds. So if he goes over, right, we make 308 on Caesars. We lose $300 on FanDuel. Our net profit is $8. If he goes under, we lose 275 on Caesars. On FanDuel, we're up 300 times 100 over 106. We're betting $300 at minus 106 odds. So once again, we make a risk-free profit of $8. So arbitrage betting, you don't care about what happens, right? You're just day trading the books to make a risk-free profit. It's like buying a stock at 10 and then flipping it for 11. You don't care if the stock goes up or down. You make $1 no matter what. That's what you're doing when you're arbitrage betting. You're just taking advantage of these inefficiencies, you know, in the market. And it's still available if you want to bet this. And you use Caesars and FanDuel. You just need to have multiple sports books if you want to be an arbitrage bettor. But anyways, let's go back to PrizePicks. And let's take a look. Because PrizePicks has some plays coming up. Damn. So again, like, it's a pretty simple strategy on PrizePicks. So this isn't going to apply for the promo because it's an NHL play. But if you look at Evan, right, all the books have his under heavily favored, right? On PrizePicks, if you go through the math behind this platform, you just got to win these over-unders above 54.25% of the time to be profitable. So if you can win these over-unders 56% of the time, again, PrizePicks always gives you the exact same payout for a 5-pick flex play. They always give you the same payout. So it all just boils down to what percentage of your picks can you win, right? What percentage of your over-unders can you win? That determines how profitable you'll be. So if you can win like 56% of your picks, your ROI on PrizePicks will be roughly 12%. If you can win 57% of your picks, it'll be roughly 20%, 19.25. So it all just boils down to what percentage of your picks can you win. But anyways, so why is this play? If we go back here, why is this play winning above 54.25% of the time? It's like, well, look at all the sports books. They all have his under heavily favored. They're saying, hey, his under is a lot more likely than his over. And they're telling you that through their odds, you know? So there's a bunch of options to go with right now. I mean, there's good bets on PrizePicks right now. So you can see we have Goff under. Lions are playing the Raiders. We have Drake London over. We have Bouchard under. So again, like, it doesn't matter what sport you're betting on. It's like, it's always the same shit. You win your picks above 54.25% of the time. You make money on PrizePicks. So here we have another NHL play. So again, I don't care at all what sport I'm particularly betting on. So we want to take his under as well. Is his under? Again, these plays are in the same game, so correlation isn't that important. And then we have Jerry over, right? So we can go back here. And we have him over 27.5 saves. So all these plays are in different games. And again, higher profit margin is obviously better. So this play on, Goff is best. 2% profit margin versus 0.19%. But you get the point. So anyways, we can refresh this. Kind of take a look. Some esports plays popping up as well. I mean, we could sit here all fucking day and hit bets. Esports, again, you just have less data points. Like, obviously, this Dame promo is really good value. We're getting him over 18.5 points. When every other sports book, has this line at like 27.5, 26, whatever it is. Right? So obviously getting over 18.5 is good, and you have high confidence in that, right? Like, when you're placing a bet, it's like getting married. You want to be sure about what you're doing. So PrizePicks has line at 18.5. We have dozens of data points. All these books setting lines, they all have his line at 26.5, 25.5, 27.5, whatever. But clearly over 18.5 is a good deal. What kind of sucks about esports is, again, you just have less data points. So there's a lot of opportunity because there's a lot of games. But you can see here, it's like, right now, there's only a few books that are posting esports lines for tomorrow. And usually there's only like 5 or 6 books that are posting, esports lines. So you just have less data points available, long story short. So what should we see? So let's lock in this play on PrizePicks. Again, my betting limits on PrizePicks suck. $25 max. That's what they let me get down. I obviously would bet this for more. I think it's a really good play. All these picks just from the EV tool, all winning above 54.25% of the time, which is the break-even win rate on PrizePicks. So they're all good to go. So it's kind of weird. Like, some people ask me, like, why did you bet this play? I got that on Twitter. Someone DM'd me, why did you bet this play for $500? And it's like, because Underdog gave me a $500 bet size. Whereas the second I include an NFL play, again, like, if I do NFL, they only give me $100 max. I don't know why. Whereas if I include NBA picks, or if I have an NBA only pick, well, now they actually reduced it to 100. So I guess that was an error when starting the season. They gave me $500. Now you can see I'm down to $100 again, which is annoying, but hey, just kind of how it is. So there's some plays on Fliff and stuff as well, but here's a new play on Underdog Fantasy. So we can go back to Underdog. Again, these lines are always moving, just like the price of a stock is always kind of moving around. Hey, the company's doing well. They have a new product. That affects the price that it's trading at in the market. It's kind of the same thing in sports betting. Injuries, lineup changes, weather changes. Obviously, weather changes doesn't apply to basketball, but in general, it's like all these things can move the market around. Like, for example, Bradley Beal is out today for the Suns. I think Devin Booker is too. Like, every other player's line has to move. Like, if you look at KD's points line, I assume with Booker out and Beal out, KD's points line is pretty high. It's higher than last game. So odds probably ripped towards his over whenever that news was announced that Beal and Booker weren't playing. So if we go to NBA player points and we take a look at Kevin Durant, I don't know when they initially released his lines, but I assume it was lower than 30.5, 31.5. So a good Twitter account that you can actually follow is Underdog NBA, because a lot of good bets occur because all these books set lines independently. So stuff like this, right? Whenever an injury is announced like this, or a player being ruled out, every other player, their line has to change. If Giannis is out, Dame Lillard, right, his points line will probably go higher. Dame will probably do more shooting if Giannis isn't playing. So if Giannis gets ruled out for tonight, you'll probably see some good bets because all these books set lines independently, so they all have to update odds together. So if Dame's ruled out, all these books need to adjust their lines. Or if Giannis is ruled out, all these books have to adjust their lines on Dame Lillard, and some may be slower than others, right? So that's kind of why you can get down good bets. So all this stuff is like, moves around the market, and is why good bets sometimes occur at seemingly random times. It's like, why is this play on Bobby Portis available right now? It's like, I don't know. But we can refresh this. And we have Bobby Portis over 6.5 rebounds, Giannis under 5.5 assists. And then we have Patrick Mahomes over 34.5 passing attempts. So it's like, okay. Chiefs, Broncos. I mean, this one's a little scary. Patrick Mahomes passing attempts, because obviously if the Chiefs are blowing out the Broncos, which, is possible, he probably won't play much of the second half. But again, like, I follow an extremely data-driven approach. I never let my emotions get in the way. So these plays I'm already on for my max, but Bobby Portis, he's heavily favored to go over, right? PrizePicks is going to give us the same damn payout if we take his over, right? We take his over or his under. It doesn't matter. We always get the same payout. Doesn't affect your payout. So the over is the sharp pick because the over is heavily favored. And you can see they already moved it. So stupid. They move some of these lines extremely quickly. How quickly they move some of these lines it's pretty incredible. But anyways, we can see, is there anything else on Underdog we want to go with? What is going on here? Paul Reed in the 76ers game. So if we look up points plus rebounds plus assists, I mean, it's like, what is going on? Some books have them at 9.5, 8.5. So this is a play we could possibly middle bet. So if we go over to the NBA, right, and we look up player points plus rebounds and assists, where is this player? Paul Reed, his line is 8.5, right? We could take his over 8.5 and his under 10.5 on Underdog Fantasy. So if we go back here, this seems like a great play to go with. Under 10.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. I already am on this play on Dalton Kincaid. They removed the play on Bobby Portis, which is annoying how quickly they can move some of these lines. But hey, just kind of part of the game. We can see if they have any TD lines up. Sometimes there's good TD lines on these platforms. Sometimes there's not, but Tyreek Hill, Saquon, Pacheco. Not really. Underdogs seem, well, St. Brown we can take a look at. So let's take a look at St. Brown, see if he's favored. What's the deal? I'd be surprised. So if you take a look here, right, this is a good example. Like, St. Brown is heavily favored to not score a touchdown, to go under. Barstool, all the books have his line at like minus 140. Not a huge favorite. It's not like it's minus 180 or something. And, we feel like we have to bet the under. But if we were going to take a play on St. Brown, the sharp side would be the under. So we can take a look at some of these other players as well that they have listed for college football. So like Khalib Hood, what a name, is we can take a look at him. He's not really, he's like a slight favorite maybe to go under, but only minus 120. Again, on these platforms, it all boils down to what percentage of your picks can you win? What percentage of these over-unders can you win? Like on Underdog, if you can win these over-unders, 57% of the time, your ROI is going to be 11%. But this isn't, like, you can see he's only like a very small favorite to go under. It's not a big favorite. You want to see lines that are like minus 150, minus 160 juice towards the under. Then that's a great play to go with. So we can go back here. Do we have enough please, to lock in an underdog play or no? So I already locked in these previous plays. Do they still have this lineup on Giannis? So maybe they put this line on Giannis back. So we can take a look. Giannis, under 5.5 assists. So we do have this back. And then we can lock it in for 6x payout, 100 to win 600. So the reason I play a lot of these 3-pick entries on Underdog is it's 100 to win 600. It's a 6x payout. Whereas on PrizePicks for these, 3-pick entries, they're only giving you a 5x payout. So it does matter like how many picks you go with on each of these platforms. On Underdog, I'm playing a lot of 3-pick entries, 5-pick with insurance, whereas on PrizePicks, it's exclusively 5 or 6-pick flex plays. So we can go back here. Anyways, we'll call it a day for now. There are some esports plays, but we'll call it a day for now. Got down a lot of good bets, and thanks so much for tuning in.